This is a demo of the new features in Sinopia versions 1.2.1 and 1.3.0. I'm Michelle Futornik, the Sinopia product owner, and I'll be demonstrating these features in the Sinopia stage environment. The first feature is a friendlier RDF preview. So when you're working on cataloging or you're looking at something that's already been cataloged and you use the preview icon, we now offer you 3 ways to see the RDF: a table, which is now the default view, the triples that we used to show as our only view, and turtle. And there is a known issue that you're not able to scroll through the entire long list of the preview, but that is being worked on in the current Sinopia sprint. Now this new friendlier preview is also being used when you find some external data that you want to copy to start a new description. So I'm searching a converted data set here, and I'll select one of the search results and open it in a resource template. And Sinopia tells me the things that didn't match the resource template. And here again, we're defaulting to this new table view, or you can switch to one of the other views. And the nice thing about the table view is that if you want to use one of these pieces of information, it's a lot easier to copy and paste it than it was from the triples view, where you'd have to sort of isolate that piece of the triple. Now in the table, you could double or triple click, depending on your browser, on any of these cells and then copy just that one piece of information to paste it somewhere. The next new feature has to do with after you create a new resource and save it. I'll just do a really quick one here. When you save it, Sinopia mints a URI, and you might want to use this URI again in another description. And so we've added this copy URI button that copies it to your clipboard. There's a known issue here that it looks like nothing happened when I clicked on it, but we're fixing that. Something actually did happen. It actually did copy that into my buffer or clipboard. So if I wanted to use that in another resource template, I could paste that URI into a field. And I can also now, because of another new feature, I can search by a Sinopia URI. So that one that I just copied, I can now do a paste. There's that URL that I copied with the copy URI button, and I can find my resource that way. Okay, here on the search screen, another new feature is that we now have a diacritic insensitive searching. So you can enter a string and it will find matches with and without diacritical marks. And also the search is now case insensitive, as you can see from this search, or do another one. So it doesn't matter whether you enter lowercase or uppercase, you'll find the matching text. Another search improvement has to do with when you have more than one term in the box. So if I add another term, it will default to an and search of these 2 terms, whereas previously it was doing an or search, which was unexpected. And a new UX feature is that we're showing you what environment you're in. So it's easy at a glance to see if you're in stage or production. We've added the environment name to this header and also to the browser title. Now I'm going to show a new feature that has to do with lookups that are directly to id.loc.gov. And I'm going to show this template that in the sound characteristics field here, there are actually multiple applicable vocabularies. And so we now support that, having being able to select and search from multiple lists from the Library of Congress service. So each of these gray bars is a different list, and you could select from any of these. You can also see here that things look a little bit different visually. The different sections of the template are more lined up, and that means you'll see some blank space, sort of depending on how things are aligned. This is due to an upgrade in the Bootstrap framework that controls how the UI looks, but it has fixed the problems we had before with some fields sort of jumping around as you opened and closed them. Some of the other features we've added have to do with better validation and error catching. So one example, if you try to open a resource that was created with a template that no longer exists, we'll now tell you that. So this is, says there was a problem retrieving this resource. There was a problem getting this template. So that means this template is no longer available to Sinopia, probably because it was deleted. So in the past, if you tried to open something whose resource template was no longer available, you would just be stuck on this page, or Sinopia might take you to the editor, but it would show you the last thing you opened. So this is telling you exactly what's going on. You could still go see the data for this resource. The URI of the resource still works. So you could paste that in a browser and see the triples associated with that resource. And from the resource template page, we're now doing a more checking of possible problems with the actual resource template and warning you about those and not opening the resource template. So previously, you could have opened a resource template that had some problems in it and then encountered those problems later in an unexpected way. But now we're trying to look for those problems in advance. So the one thing that we're looking for is resource templates that nest other resource templates that don't exist. So for example, this resource template is referring to another resource template that's missing. So if I try to click on it, it'll appear that nothing happens, but actually at the top, there's a useful error message. There was a problem retrieving it because the following reference resource templates are not available. So this would tell you that this one is missing and you need to import it. We're working on making this message visible even if you're way down in this resource template list. Another problem that could be encountered, demonstrate with this one. Oh. Okay, this one says there's a problem retrieving that resource template because the following property templates have unknown types or lookups. So this is a clue. It doesn't tell you the full story, but it tells you that there's a property template somewhere in this resource template that has this property URI that has an issue with it. So I'll show you how you could troubleshoot that. You could, oops. You could download that resource template. Open it up in an editor like Atom. And then here, I told you what it's telling you is the property URI where there's a problem. So we'll look for that in Atom. So here's the property URI. So something is amiss with this property template, either in the type or in the lookup. So the type looks fine, but in use values from this source is not supported by Sinopia. And how could you check that? If you go to the Help tab here, Sinopia Help site, then navigate to Lookups and QA Help, you'll see a link to a list of lookups supported by Sinopia. And that one that we were looking at was mcolor. So it's here, but you'll notice Sinopia uses HTTPS, and here was HTTP. So if you fix that here in the template, then the error would go away and this would open successfully. So note that some of these errors are only introduced because templates were imported from another system or they were created outside of the profile editor. If you were creating this in the profile editor, then you would have been selecting a lookup from the drop-down list and it would have been a valid lookup. But we hope that these error messages will be helpful in troubleshooting template problems. And that concludes this demo. Thank you.